Well, welcome everybody to season 1, episode 32 of Bridging Generations with Howard Snooks. And I'm Howard, and this is my friend and my a guest today, Jack Phillips.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, I always start with a dad joke, Jack, so I'm going to
Go right ahead.
And I wonder if you know this one.
Well, let's hear it.
So why do comedians love snowstorms?
I don't know.
Because they always get a cold open.
Nice. That's good.
That was a good, polite laugh, Jack. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's very practiced.
So I want to tell you about my first impressions of Jack. I've known him for, 3 years probably?
No, it's longer than that.
Is it longer?
I came to town in 2020. So,
Jeez.
Yeah, it's been 6 years.
6 years. Okay. It was just about COVID time.
Yeah, COVID time.
Well, so when Jack moved to town, he lived in a hotel. And I just thought, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. The Boulderado. And it was practically empty because of COVID. So it's like you and all the people.
Yeah, there's
staff.
a cool way to do it and maybe a sad way to do it.
Yeah.
And I hope that I did it the cool way. But Hotel Boulderado is where I stayed. I had lived in Denver for going on 4 years at that point. And I thought it'd be a really fun thing to move into a hotel like the Boulderado and stay there. And it was kind of, everything had shut down, the economy. I could tell that there wasn't going to be a football season.
Oh, right.
And that was part of the calculus, that I could go in and negotiate a long-term stay. And they let me do that. And I stayed there. And I had listened to a whole bunch of interesting podcasts. There were people out there in the world who had different things. They would set up like a trunk at a certain hotel that they went to often in a certain city. And, they'd get a deal to do that. And then all of their stuff would be there. So they wouldn't even have to travel with clothes. They would just have a, carry-on or something. And I thought that sounded really cool. And I wanted to try it. I wanted to kind of expand a little bit from Denver to Boulder. And it was a fun time.
So you discovered a subculture.
Yeah.
In there.
There's a nuance also, and I'll share a joke back with you.
Oh, great.
So my father went to CU Boulder and for college, and he worked as the night watchman at the Hotel Boulderado while he was a student here. Wow. And so I give credit to this next joke for him. He's got this joke.
Okay.
So Helen Keller, when she was alive, came to Boulder and stayed in the Hotel Boulderado. And she stayed in a specific room, and that room is now sometimes referred to as the Helen Keller Suite. It was a little dark, but she didn't mind.
I love that one. Well, knowing the history of the Hotel Boulderado, that would have been a wild time for the hotel when your dad was a night watchman. He had to be a bouncer probably sometimes. Yeah,
there was I think that they had a morning Sunday brunch that was all you can eat. And when some of the students figured that out, it was no longer an all you can eat buffet.
All right. Well, another thing about Jack is, and here's why I did my dad joke, is he is a comedian. He's
a little bit on it. It's a hobby that has shown a bit of promise. That's how I would phrase it.
Well, I think those are the best kinds of.
I agree. You gotta, variety is the spice of life.
You're not like relying on the comedy to go to City Mart or Safeway or whatever.
Yeah, no. Not at all. But it's fun.
What is your other job? Tell us what your other job is.
I do angel investing. That's for.
Yeah, explain the angel investing.
So I've had an interesting career, like many of your guests, and yourself. But in 2016, I was in active duty service for the U.S. Navy. I got out of that and spent some more time in the reserves.
How long were you in the service?
I was in active duty service for 10 years and another 2 and change in the reserves. And my background in college was computer science. This interesting thing that I'd bought starting in 2011 called Bitcoin had started to, go up in price. And
I've heard a little bit about Bitcoin.
Yeah, you might have heard of it.
Yeah.
It's good for, I don't know, paying parking tickets. I don't know.
And good conversations
yeah.
for lunch, you know.
And so I had a bit of crypto, money as I was selling out of that, and I wanted to start putting that to work in other types of investments. And the joke that I kind of tell is that everybody else who gets into angel investing is really going up in terms of risk from regular equities, stocks. Maybe they've got a little bit of money that they were given as they worked at a tech firm or something like that. And I was coming down the risk spectrum from crypto, which was much more volatile, into crypto or into angel investing. And so I was doing that for a good amount of time. I still do that. And then I also do at this point, given the background in computer science, AI consulting, business consulting for small businesses.
Well, when I first heard the term angel investor, there used to be this TV show called The Millionaire. And one of the things he did was he would search out, as I recall, you never really saw his face or anything. He was just kind of, as if he were doing the vision. But he would locate people that were really deserving, and he gave them $1 million. So that's kind of how I picture
Amazing.
angel.
It's a bit of a pretentious term. If we're going by who selected the most pretentious term for their profession.
Right.
The angel investors might have won that. It's what else do you call yourself? Like the chosen, something like that. It's quite the term.
It's almost as pretentious as shrink, which is what I used to be.
Well, I don't know. I think shrink, there's a double edge to that. There's, I don't know. I mean,
think about, head shrinkers is like the whole picture.
Right. Well,
here's one of the cool things about your multi-pronged past.
Yes.
You've had lots of mentors.
Correct.
And that's one of the things I like to do is talk to people about who helped them along the way. Who did you identify with? Who did you think this person is really onto something? And then there's the obverse, there's people, I don't want to be like that person.
Right.
And so I'm just curious, especially, people that are older than you especially.
Sure. I've had kind of two sets of mentors that I would bring up. The first is in childhood, I had a learning disability, dyslexia. It was very bad.
So tell us what.
For me, it meant that I just couldn't read at the pace that my peers, the other students in my class were
learning. Did you reverse letters?
A little bit. It was just kind of like I would see a long word and I would have a block and I couldn't get through it.
Gotcha.
And I was very, very fortunate to have a teacher that recognized it pretty early on, my parents that were able to help, and then eventually a tutor that worked with me for 3 years between second and fifth grade to just learn how to read. And that grouping of people and the situation that I found myself in were sufficient to get me through it. And if I wasn't able to get through that, I don't know what would have become of me. It's really, really a challenge. In hindsight, though, you start to learn that all these amazing people have had dyslexia, and it becomes kind of a bit of a superpower is how
That's
that community.
So interesting you say that, because I've had that same impression.
Oh, thank you.
And there's a community, really, when you reveal that you've had a learning disability and some other, brilliant person did too, you go, dude, it's like.
Well, I think my tutor at one point showed me a book, which I think is called The Gift of Dyslexia. And on the back cover, it had a list of maybe 12 people that were somewhat famous throughout history who had dyslexia or were considered to have had dyslexia based off of their childhood and a historical perspective. And for me, just seeing that there were people that had worked their way through it and got to the other side and had done really well in their careers was great, was profound.
Well, it does seem like it. I don't even know if it's true, but there does seem to be a correlation between people who've had dyslexia and people who have gifted intellects in other ways.
I have a theory about it, which is complete amateur, swing at it.
Everybody's a psychologist.
Sure. So what I think, so given this is somewhat shaped by my perspective coming from computer science, and I've taken enough high-level courses in computer science to sound like I know what I'm talking about. And what I think's happening is that as a map, graph, the brain has multiple connections. Those are, synapses, the neurons being the nodes. And what I estimate is happening is that within a brain that has dyslexia, the neurons and synapses are reaching out further than they do in other folks.
Interesting.
And it's explanatory in that the myelinization process that moves from a neuron to another neuron as a link develops is almost like wrapping an electrical cord with electrical tape from one end to the other. It takes a long time, and that happens only when you're learning the material. And it explains for dyslexics why it takes so long to learn new material. But then once those links are in place, it shows why dyslexics sometimes are able to have thoughts and links between different areas that other people don't make connections between.
Where no man has gone beyond.
Yeah, right.
I think there's really something to that.
Right. Yeah. It sounds good. It's enough of an interesting idea that I'd love to, see somebody do a study on it or something like that.
And I bet there has been some studies. Like dyslexia is something which is studied a lot. Occupational therapists do it, psychotherapists do, psychologists do, education, everything. So I'm going to ask you a very hard question. How do you think you got helped with it? Like, what was it that helped you?
Just the repetition.
I see.
It's two things. I could recognize pretty early on that I was pretty good at things like mathematics, while at the same time being not great at spelling and reading and things like that. And so over time, I could just tell like something is working really well. I just have to push through this. And on the other side, I'll be able to leverage the mathematics, the other things that I am good at, that ultimately can, be what I focus on.
Okay. So that's helpful. Well, I was kind of the opposite, I think, of it.
How so?
Well, I was like a little spelling bee whiz,
Oh.
that sort of thing. And I just knew what the words were. And like math wasn't like, I did well in geometry and I did well in statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two that I were good. Algebra, I was not good at algebra. So.
No, I was in sixth grade at some point. I figured out an algebraic equation during class, and the teacher said something really nice, and so that was not my experience.
Right.
But I didn't answer the second half of your question of who my mentors were.
Yes. Okay.
So the dyslexia happened early on. That was grade school. That was basically second grade to seventh grade. By eighth grade, I'd kind of turned the corner academically and started doing much better. High school, I encountered foreign language. It was a bit of a challenge again, but by college, I had figured out how to not have foreign language in my life.
I didn't know you were going to go that direction.
Yeah, no, it was a lot. Now you can say what you want about C++ and Java, right. But those in my mind were more math than foreign language.
Gotcha.
But I was very, very fortunate in my senior year of college to come into contact with a really amazing professor. And I had amazing professors throughout my college, but this one in particular became a friend and a mentor in a big way. And to me, was emblematic of a couple of things that I ended up doing later in my career.
Where did you go to college?
So Bucknell University
Bucknell.
in central Pennsylvania.
I just read an article about the 20 best colleges or universities, and Bucknell got in.
Yeah,
there.
we.
It's a regional university.
It's
really.
not. It's a liberal arts school. Unless something's happened in the last couple of years, it's a liberal arts college in the Patriot League. It's with Army, Navy, Lehigh, Lafayette, Holy Cross, at this point, Boston University. And
Really?
Yep.
He was in there.
Yep, and a couple of others. Boston University joined the Patriot League maybe 15 years ago.
Well, Lehigh I can see where Lehigh is very similar
Yeah.
to Bucknell.
And it's an amazing school. The campus is stunning. The only other institution in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania is the Federal Penitentiary, which I could tell a couple stories about, but not from me, but,
Well, I want to throw in a little anecdote.
Yeah, go ahead.
'Cause did you know that back when Colorado became a state in 1876, they're trying to decide where was the prison going to go?
I do know this story.
You know this story. Where was the prison going to go and where was the university going to go? And Boulder lost and they got the university.
The tough
Canyon
breaks.
City won.
Tough break. It's
But so somehow Lewisburg got the both.
yeah, and it was a very interesting place to. So Bucknell is amazing. It's gorgeous. It's got a great campus, and it's kind of 3 hours from a lot of big cities. So you can get places that you want to go, but you've got this very almost curated experience of what college is. And I had this amazing professor.
Yeah.
His background was that he had got a business degree out of college, gone into the Navy as an officer, and been a nuclear submarine officer at a time when getting through the nuclear submarine officer program, Hyman Rickover being in charge of it, was a big deal. He went through that, and then after I think 7 or 8 years, moved on to a career on Wall Street, where he worked for Goldman Sachs for over 20 years, eventually becoming a managing partner. So he was C-suite level. And after his career on Wall Street at Goldman Sachs, he then went and became a management professor at Bucknell. Amazing guy.
Tenure track and everything.
No. It's actually... He wrote letters to all the universities that were in the area of where he retired to, offering his services. Bucknell figured out first who he was, brought him in, and to their credit, because he was an amazing professor, he always had great, student surveys, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But this gentleman just completely kind of altered the shape of my career. Because after college, I did a year of management consulting, didn't like it, got out and thought, where would my skills apply and what would I be suited to? That answer eventually came as Naval Intelligence. And one of the formative characters that I thought, well, which of the military services would I have the most cultural affinity with? Was looking at him and saying, this is the type of guy that I would really like to mimic and be somewhat like, and do things in my career that are, around both on the military side and potentially eventually on the finance side.
And he took you in too.
He did. And he that senior year, I took one course from him. I was in computer science. You got the ability to take a capstone course at Bucknell. And he was offering a capstone course, but it was over in the management department. So I took that knowing that he was the professor of the course. And I kind of figured out that of all the people at Bucknell, perhaps this guy's office hours were the most valuable, because all the teachers are mandated to have office hours, got to have 3 a week. If I just went in and asked this guy questions, I might make a nuisance of myself, but he had to be there. So I would get extraordinary value if I could just ask good questions. And so I did that. I would go, I'd take the class, and then I'd come in on his office hour days and just plant myself in his office and ask question after question of, Navy, Wall Street, everything I could think of. And eventually halfway into the first session of that, he figured out what I was doing and told me to leave and come back with a list of questions. And he, once he answered all of my questions, that would be the deal, that I could stay as long as I had prepared questions, which, next week I came back with a lot of questions. And, but he developed into a fantastic mentor. I'm still close with him. And he ended up writing one of my letters of recommendation, which, the pipeline and process that I got into the Navy for was a low acceptance rate. And I'm convinced that his letter of recommendation was one of the things that pushed me over the top.
I would not be surprised to hear the same. Well, I think you should tell his name.
Well, this wonderful professor is Bill Groover.
Bill Groover.
Yeah.
Because he may hear this podcast.
I'm sure. I'll send it to him. Okay. I'm sure he'll like it.
Okay.
But he's kind of a force of nature. Any student that has taken him as for a course, I'm sure loves him, and he's a treasure, I think.
Well, okay. So besides his breadth of knowledge and depth, there's something else about him that people love him or something. So could you describe some of that? What that's?
Sure. I think he's incredibly competent. So he's always prepared. He anticipates enormous amounts of questions. It's one of the things that I picked up was when I got to the Navy. Many of my jobs were in combatant commands like Central Command, dealing with the Middle East, or U.S. Cyber Command. Places like that, you're working as a low-level officer with multiple layers in between you and maybe the commanding officer. Mm-hmm. And the instinct I pulled was that to the extent that you are ever in the room with that commanding officer, which happens, you either brief them on an infrequent basis, or if you're on a watch floor, you might brief them once or twice a month. You want to pick up and absorb as much as you can from that individual, with the thought that you are going to anticipate their concerns and their questions. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, you start to do that for everybody between them and you. And that is just an exceptional way to move through a career. You if you have multiple layers of people between you, the people at the top and you, those people in the middle might not always have the perfect understanding of what the top person wants. So if you can understand, this is what the top person wants, this is how the next person down has interpreted it, I need to give this piece of information in a way that satisfies the mid-level manager, but it also satisfies the high-level commanding officer.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because this is part of my theory about good mentors. A lot of mentorship, like all relationships, there's a transactional approach. They have something, you need it, they enjoy the process of teaching. But whatever the word is, I would use empathy. They understand what you need. And so they're able to, that's a big deal, for somebody to really go, oh, this guy needs to have a list of questions for me, for example. Yeah. That really helped you, I bet, that you wrote the list down. And it was sure as convenient for him, but also it was like, I think this guy needs to get organized and, have.
Sure.
And that's really an important issue, the empathy part of mentorship. And so you took it to the next level. Well, I have to figure out how this guy he didn't quite grasp it. I see why he didn't grasp it, but I can see where it isn't quite right. That's like next level empathy.
It's multiple. I love just the focus on empathy. It's one of the things that's characteristic of everything that I've done over the course of my career, because really what you're thinking about is, where is this person coming from? What are their concerns? How can I live in this person's mind for a second and kind of understand what they're going to want out of the question or the product, whatever. And doing that you become very good. You become able to kind of imagine a room of people that, you know, you might be able to empathize with for all of them, and then think about what that interaction is like and what's going to be the net result. And it's often very instructive.
And complex.
Yes.
You're describing a very complicated system up there.
Right.
Up there.
It's become more tangibly useful as AI has created all of these agents, and you can architect an agent to maybe mimic a certain type of business process or the characteristics that you want from, you know, a person in a certain position. And then you can architect a organization or a workflow of agents that all have different characteristics. So that process of empathizing with multiple people, when you start to project it onto AI agents, is a way almost of monetizing that complexity.
Wow. And you know big words. Monetizing
They're distracting. I find that, you know, if you say enough big words, people have to think, pause. Unctuous, what does that mean?
Unctuous. Oh, that's a great word to start. Yeah. But you know, one of the things I really get a kick out of with Jack, and it makes him this great lunch companion, because that's how I mostly know you, is we've had lunch in groups situations. Jack knows so many totally worthless facts that are absolutely incredible.
Well, they're not worthless because you like them.
I know, it's true.
I hear what you're saying, though. Right, but yeah, right. I do know.
No, I get great pleasure out
of it's such a weird thing, the way that we do education. We don't know how students are going to do in all of these skills that apply later in life. But I wouldn't say that I've got a photographic memory or anything, but I have a very interesting memory in that it picks up interesting pieces of information, and kind of using that maybe dyslexic mind links them to other areas and spaces. And so whenever something comes up that might be tangentially related to, you know, what we're talking about, I can pull in a fact that is, you know, entertaining and useful and might be worthless, but.
Right. Yeah, worthless. I don't really mean worthless. It's like, but it's just like one of those gems, like something that exists really great all in and of itself. It doesn't need any other transactional piece to it. It exists for just to give pleasure to people.
Right. Yeah, that's the, you know, delivering entertainment and being just a kind of a pleasurable lunch partner in our case. I find that our lunch experiences are wonderful, and you know, just a way to leverage that skill set that you don't even know you have early on.
That's a great segue into your current hobby.
Yeah.
And are there any mentors there? Because now we're talking about comedy.
Right. I mean, I've seen people on the internet and in interviews talk about sometimes their mentors being famous people they don't know. And I think I'd have to answer that way. Like, I've had a couple of really amazing teachers. It's tricky. Anything you learn, anything that becomes a teachable skill, and there's a double-edged sword to learning comedy. Like, you can probably teach anybody some of it, but you have to have a taste and what do you like? What do you find funny that helps you zero in on what types of jokes you're going to tell?
Now, are you saying that it's tailored to who you are as a person, your individual self? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, you definitely want to tailor what you're, you know, giving as jokes out of what you've either lived or what you've seen. I try to do interesting links that maybe other people haven't seen. But to answer your question, I would say that all the big comedians over the last 50 years, I try to absorb as much as I can from each of them. And just kind of, you know, what are they doing that's really powerful and good? And what do I like? even if the style is not something that I'm going to be able to do or capable of doing or interested in, having jokes around.
So you're not singling out one person, or so you're speaking generally about this because
if I started naming people,
yeah.
I'd miss people, and I know that I'd come back and say like, oh, there were a dozen other people that as comedians that I've listened to and just love, but all the big names throughout history, the Jerry Seinfelds,
Is Jerry Seinfeld is history?
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a generational.
Yeah, well, that might hurt his feelings. I don't know.
Hurts my feelings.
Yeah. I also would say, like, I have an amazing brother. My younger brother.
Yeah, you mentioned him a lot.
He's just an incredibly talented human being. He can do so many things. He is also incredibly funny, and I love just getting in a room with him and the two of us making each other laugh. And he has a much better, the way that I understand connections, he can do primarily with jokes. He watched countless hours of things like Comedy Central while we were children. And he can tell me, like, if I come up with a joke, he can say like, oh, that joke was in this show. It was a similar joke to this comedian. And there's one other person that did something related. And he's got all of that top of mind without referencing a phone or anything. So
I think you better bring him to the club. I met your mother. You brought your mother one time.
Yeah, my mother's great.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate. I should go back and echo that my parents are amazing. Mom and Dad, I love you very much. They're amazing. They're still together. They've been amazing
they
models.
Live in Denver, don't they?
They do. Yep. They live in Denver. My dad was a lifetime career banker, which is interesting because you just sitting at the dinner table, you get to understand the world in a way that most people don't. And then my mom did a number of things, but the two kind of large pieces of it were that early in her career, she was an opera singer. My parents were living in London. My dad's bank had moved him from Chicago to London. And she did kind of low level, but still pretty reputable, amazing opera work. And then later in life, she was a school teacher and a high school school teacher. And so she's incredible. She's a force of nature. And I'm lucky to have both of them as parents.
Opera.
Yeah. Well, so a fun thing that we could, of all the hobbies I've had, at one point in 2018, right after kind of this windfall occurrence of selling Bitcoin in 2017, I convinced my brother, who both of us sing a little bit, to do a Christmas album.
Yes, I was hoping you would bring up the Christmas album.
Right. So if anybody's interested, you can go to Spotify and check out. Can I plug it? I suppose.
Sure.
It's called That Other Christmas Album with Johnny Phillips, stage name, and Ted Phillips. And it's amazing. It's 10 songs long. It's a little under half an hour. It's a total vibe. And it's based on kind of a Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra type experience. We song 3 or 4, I think it's I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. We get into a banter in the middle of the song. It's a fun time. So go check it out, especially around the holidays. And the reason that we made it was because our mother sings. She's,
Did she still sing around the house?
A little bit, but not as much as she used to.
But she did when you were a kid?
A little. Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But our father is tone deaf, can't sing at all. And so my brother and I knew that the fact that we could sing came from our mom. And we wanted to thank her in a way that was different from everybody else. So we created over the course of a summer, 10-song Christmas album and gave that to her as a Christmas gift,
I love this story.
which she got a special copy of. And it's got I'm a 90s kid,
right.
and there were there were like Stone Temple Pilots would release an album and there'd be a secret song at the end. And so we gave her an album that was 11 songs long with a secret track at the end. And then everybody else, Spotify, YouTube, etc., got the regular 10-song album, which is available for download anywhere fine music is available.
I love this story. So that makes me think, I just was on Instagram, and you know, one of my new favorite singers is this woman named Ray, R-A-Y-E. Well, she's British, and she won all these British awards and stuff. And so, because you know what happens, I get in the algorithm. So now I've got lots of Ray coming up on my feed. But she's really impressive. But the thing that made me think of it is she hired this symphony to sing in front of, and that was one of her very first.
It's a good move.
Yeah.
If you've got the resources,
right,
you can. You have to be good, right? That's the trick.
Right.
If you're not good, it's a vanity project,
right,
which arguably my Christmas album was. I'll let the audience be the judge.
Well, like you're saying that's a bad thing.
Well, it's a good way of kind of moving a few steps ahead on whatever
Absolutely.
ladder you're looking at. And
there's a confidence thing in there.
Yeah,
you know?
This is the other thing. You know, lots of people have written amazing books, but if you give a book to a friend and say, read the book, it's a big commitment. It's like, you know, if it's not on Audible or something, then you're saying, you know, hey, the next 4 weeks or 2 weeks, in my case, 4 weeks, but a regular person, maybe 1 week.
Right.
I want you at night to sit on your bed and read this book that I've written. And then later I'm going to interrogate you about it. And nobody wants that. That's not an enjoyable experience.
And we have a few book writers.
I know. I love everybody, but it's always like, it's a big ask. It's not like, hey, can you grab me a cup of coffee? And so the novelty of creating the Christmas album, everyone will listen to one song and then they'll say like, oh, okay. And, you know, there are lots of people that will listen to the whole thing. It's 30 minutes. It's a fun time. Different people like different songs. So it's a way of giving a bit more joy, you know, writing a book, saying thank you to my mom. That's, you know, that's tough.
Well, you like to help people along, it seems like. To
Yeah.
me. And, you know, the angel investor, giving people something that they enjoy. You know,
Totally.
like that's, where did that come from, do you think? And there's no one source, I know. It's like it's who you are, but there's probably somebody or something or something that turned you that direction. And okay, I'll issue a hypothesis first. Your teacher maybe who taught you how to read, maybe that was part of it.
Could be. I think that is definitely, I've never thought about it, I guess is the quick answer. You know, the way that I just kind of encounter life is that there's often entertaining or connections material that just providing to someone increases the value of the interaction, but also helps them along in some way. And in so many different ways, that's what society does, right? We you know, economy doesn't ask the question like, you need to be good at everything. It asks the question, what are you good at? And then we're going to find a way to put you on that and value you for that. And I just think that there are so many people that probably have never found the best place that they should be. And in a conversational context, helping someone just make a connection is helping them find their best spot. That's how I would characterize it. Also, it's more enjoyable. Like, what else are you gonna do?
Be mean. You can be mean if you want. No, I don't think you can be mean.
Yeah, it'd be a chore.
It'd be a stretch.
Yeah. Well, good.
Well, back to the comedy thing. That's a gift to people. There's something. What is it? Oxycontin? What is
Oxycontin?
No, it isn't that. What is it? But it's some feel good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Say it again.
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin. Oxycontin is a wholly other thing.
Okay.
But anyway, to have that feeling of enjoyment, and it's pure, it's just unadulterated. It's not related to anything else. It doesn't get you anywhere other than, oh God, I just love this moment because I have this, something funny just happened. And you didn't mention a favorite comedian, but recently on my feed again, because my algorithm, Joan Rivers has been coming up. She is the most hilarious person. I think there was this TV show not long ago called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And
Yes.
I believe that it was based on Joan Rivers' life.
I am aware of that. Yes.
Well, I was just rolling on the floor laughing at some of her jokes. But
Yeah, my parents were big fans of that show. I haven't seen it, but it's amazing. And you always have to kind of pay attention to anybody who's a trendsetter and breaks through,
right,
because they've often just the breaking through of some new environment, which Joan Rivers breaking through in the late 1960s or so.
It was earlier than that.
Early 1960s.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, it might have even been the 50s.
Okay.
She was around as long as I remember television.
And doing that in a heavily
Male
male-predominated industry, you're going to have some other capabilities that are super interesting and valuable to make that breakthrough.
She's pretty cheeky.
Yeah,
She says things. She says things.
Well, I love,
surprising.
best casting for her of all time maybe is as the droid in Spaceballs by Mel Brooks. It's just,
I haven't even seen
no.
that. I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's incredible.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me about that.
Yeah.
Because Mel Brooks is another one. And he's still alive at 100
Incredible.
years old.
Yeah. Everything that Mel Brooks, both my parents were absolute cinephiles. We grew up watching movies every cinephile. Do you know that one?
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
With an E.
Took you, yeah.
Cine.
Oh, yeah, good spelling. Yeah, excellent. So yeah, we just watch movies all the time, and every evening we'd have a new VHS
Really?
that something that we were renting, and we just watched endless comedies and everything. But everything Mel Brooks has done is amazing.
Now, did you ever go to art theaters? Where Julieta the spirits from.
My mom was made sure that my brother and I got a hefty dose of the arts growing up, but much of that was, operas, symphonies, theater. I'd say that we probably went to one or two of each of those every year, which might not be a huge amount for some people, but it's a lot more than
Right.
I was ready for.
So I know you're talking about this comedy thing as a hobby.
Yeah.
And so that's, that is contained within that sort of way of thinking. But if you could go where you're going to go with comedy, what would you do?
So we both live in Boulder, Colorado. And, I'm an entrepreneur and an angel investor. I think it would be super interesting to get enough material together that was excellent and put together my own special on my own dime, maybe with a few outside investors, and maybe take that through an independent film process, one of which will be coming to Boulder soon. So if like in a pipe dream world, that feels like the stars could align. The challenge is I only have a few minutes of really excellent material, Howard. But I've had one little spurt of exceptional response from the audience, which is
good.
Yeah, I had one little clip on my Instagram from 100 followers. It got, I I think it's at 270,000 views at this point, which, is not a million or anything crazy, but it's a strong response. And I don't know much about the, Instagram algorithms. Right. Let me ask you a question. Have any of your clips on Instagram ever had a share rate over 5%?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't follow that exactly. I do know the most number of views I ever got on something was 880,000.
Okay, so
that was a pretty high.
So this was my fourth post of a piece of comedy. The fourth post got 270,000 views. Seems like,
dude, you're on your way.
Yeah, seems like something. Seems like there might be some fire there.
Absolutely.
But the point that I was going to make is that research that I've done says that an Instagram reel that gets somewhere between 3 to 5% of shares of who views it is generally sufficient for like a viral response. Mm-hmm. The post I put up had 10%.
Whoa.
Yeah. So again, like this is a one-off thing, but it's encouraging enough that I'm going to pursue it for a while and see what happens.
Well, I'm glad I asked you that question then.
Yeah. Maybe I'll
coming soon to Boulder.
Some of these comedians, they end up being hosts on their own shows. So maybe one day I'll be interviewing you.
Oh, great. So, instead of Johnny Carson, you'll be John Phillips.
Yeah. Well, stage name Johnny Phillips. It's already there.
I know.
It's just the Christmas album.
I know.
I can sing at the end of it.
I think that's a funny stage name.
Do you?
How did you come up with it?
Well, I didn't.
Jack and John. Jack is often short.
Yeah, it's
a nickname for John.
Jack is a nickname. And,
so you are actually John.
Yes.
Okay.
But it was given it very quickly. Before I could speak, I was being called Jack. So
wow.
It was just a way of getting out of the Jack name.
I'm trying to get a joke in with Peter Parker and Spider-Man here. So.
Well, with
now everyone knows your actual identity.
With great insight comes great or responsibility. I'll workshop that.
Guess what? We've come to the end of our session.
Oh, that was quick.
I told you.
That's incredible.
It's really funny how it goes like that.
Where'd you keep an eye? You look up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But hey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been great.
A lot of fun, Jack.